And do you go by Shannon Heth or Shannon Stewart?
Oh God, this is a common question.
I'm the same way. So I'm like,
Um,
yeah, I have that double last name
I
basically.
know. So Shannon Heth is my maiden name and Shannon Stewart is my married name, but like my Instagram handle is Shannon Heth because I can't change it over. And I mean, I could change it over. I don't know. I don't know what I go by.
You
Legal,
go by
legally, I'm
both.
Shannon Stewart, but
Yep. Well, why don't
but
I
for people
introduce
to
you?
feel sorry for people to like to find me for consistency, maybe Shannon Heth. I don't
Okay.
know.
So I'll say Shannon Heth from the Modern Hustle.
Sure.
Amazing. Okay. Shannon, welcome to the Visionary Life podcast. I'm very excited to actually reconnect with you. We used to
Yeah.
work together many, many years ago at a company called Vega, who did plant based nutrition products. And as the internet would have it, we have been able to stay in touch and we are reconnected now. And I'm just so excited to learn more about what you've been up to and all about the Modern Hustle, which is your business. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, in light of current events, the listeners are used to a certain style of rapid fire questions that I deliver, but I kind of tweaked them a little bit because it is the end of March 2020. We're obviously going through that current situation that we've been in. So, let's start off with the first question. What is one word you would use to describe your life right now?
That was a good one. The word that first came to mind was full.
Yeah. And why do you say that?
Well, I'm a mom of two little ones. And so now that there's like no daycare, no schooling, I have a full plate. My business has not stopped because I'm all online, of course. So, yeah, being a mom, having two kids at home, and trying to manage my day to day work life, it's
Mhm.
full.
Well, kudos to you for even showing up for this podcast. You look very put together, so you
Oh,
found the
thanks.
time to get ready this morning, obviously. How are you continuing to cultivate a positive mindset right now in this uncertain time?
Yeah, so it was funny at the beginning of March, I just really had this feeling within me that I needed to take time on a daily basis to um, spend time in my gratitude journal. So, and then once everything like went full blown over here with coronavirus, I was just like, okay, this is like there's a reason for this. And so, yeah, I just make sure that I spend daily time. Like I don't have a consistent time of day because again, my life is all over the place with two kids. But yeah, I spend time like every day writing in my gratitude journal. I write out 5 things I'm grateful for, and then I write down 10 dreams that I made happen in the as if I've already had made them happen. And it
Mhm.
just really helps me step into that higher version of myself. And to live that life that I dream of, and to also be like grateful for what I do have, because in times like this I find that a lot of people are like, oh my god, I lost my job, I have no check coming in, I don't have money for enough groceries, blah blah blah. But it's like, but what do you have around you? And
Mhm.
so I find that the gratitude is essential for sure.
And do
So
you use a specific journal for that, or is that just done on blank paper with a pen?
I actually had a girlfriend give me a gratitude journal from Rachel Hollis last year. And so I used that one. But if you don't have one, you can just write it down in a journal. So
Awesome. Good tip.
Mhm.
And what's your favorite part right now about working from home?
mm. the the freedom of my schedule for sure. So if it's like so my one kid, my youngest kid is 1, and so he naps twice a day. So the fact that it's like, hey, I wake up in the morning, there's no way I could ever get to an office for like 8:30 in the morning. It's just not reality. So yeah, I just like the freedom to have a schedule that works for me, so I can like work when my son goes down for a nap, or when my other one goes for a quiet time, or I work in the evenings because I didn't have time at all during the day, whatever. So the
Yeah.
freedom for me is like the best.
I love it. And because there's so many people who are newly working from home, do you have any
Mhm.
tips for having any sort of productivity at home?
Yes. Definitely at the beginning of the week. I usually do it on Sunday or Monday, depending if I start work on Monday or Tuesday. But I will write out everything that I need to get done that week. And that includes for me, like what mini trainings I want to do, what Facebook lives I want to do, what type of content I want to put out. So I write it all down. So when it comes to the first day that I start work, I don't have to think about what it is that I'm doing. I already know what it is that I have to do, and then I can be productive to get it all done.
That's such a good tip. Yeah, I try to do that as well because otherwise you just sit down and then you start opening browsers and
Yeah.
tabs and you're writing in this document, that document, and you don't actually know what you're working on. So just
Yeah.
having that list is so important.
Yeah.
So let's zoom the lens back a little bit. I would love to know before we dive into your career path leading up to the modern hustle, what was your very first job and what was one thing you learned from that job?
Great question. I was gonna say my very first job was being a babysitter.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I was a babysitter. Like that's literally, I loved kids. I remember this one family. I literally babysat their kids every Friday night. And I think the biggest lesson, like I didn't ever think about this until you asked me this question,
Yeah.
but was discipline. The
Mhm.
discipline of like having to follow a structure that the family gave me, discipline to just be responsible, really.
Mhm.
I mean, responsibility would be something I learned as well, but yeah. And I feel like that has what has subconsciously helped
Mhm.
me into the entrepreneurial path today for sure, because you need discipline
Yeah.
to work from home.
Absolutely. I feel like with every past job, there's something that we
Always.
probably pulled from it
Yeah.
and that sticks with us today. So that's why I
Yeah.
love to ask that question.
Mhm.
So now let's, slide that lens forward a little bit. In the past decade, I would love to know what were some of the other visionary or not so visionary careers or jobs that you had. Let's get the kind of snapshot of your resume over the last decade.
Yeah, so I worked in sales pretty much my whole life. I've worked in the fashion industry, I've worked in the health food industry, and it's always been in the sales realm. It's just something that always came natural to me. I'm very relationship based when it comes to sales. So it's not, whereas some people they're sales and then relationship, whereas I'm opposite. I'm
Mhm.
relationship and then sales. And that's just naturally how it came out for me.
Mhm.
And so from there, I ended up also, I would always have multiple jobs. I've also worked in the fitness industry as well. And I opened an online store with one of my best friends. And so we had a clothing store. And so I've always had like the sales and entrepreneurial thing within me. But like you said, it's very interesting. Like every job teaches you something. And so every job that I've been to, being
Mhm.
in the fashion industry was great for like a period of time. But then it was just like, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, this
Yep.
is the worst industry that it just was not for me. Just it did not line up with my morals, my values, nothing like
Mhm.
that. And then that's when I feel like that's when I left there to go into the health food industry is really when I started to understand what manifesting is, because I was working with a life coach in between transition time because I was super unhappy in my sales job in the fashion industry. And she said
Mhm.
to me, "Well, what do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I want to work at Vega." And she was like, "Okay, well, go work at Vega." And I'm like, Okay.
You're
And
like, "But
so,
wait, how?"
exactly, yeah. And so I had to drive past the Vega headquarters every single day to even go to my other job that I hated. And so every day driving past and be like, I will work there. I will work there. I will work there. And it took me seriously like 3 months to actually for them to be like, yep, you have a job. But I think that really taught me a huge lesson in just like going after for what I want and trusting my gut for what I'm needing to do in life.
Mhm.
And again, all of that just transforms into being an entrepreneur into what I'm doing today. So
Mhm. So I know there are a lot of listeners who are probably thinking, well, I have a dream company that I'd like to work for, but I have zero idea how to land a job with them.
Mhm,
So how did you actually get that job with Vega? Yeah, you drove
mhm,
by there every day, but like, did you have to connect with certain people? Were you firing off your resume 9 times a day? What did it take besides manifesting and besides really setting the intention, I want this position with this
mhm.
company?
Yeah, I sent in a resume and I hounding them, for lack of a
Yeah.
better term.
Yep.
Yeah, I just had to like be on them because I was like, I know that this is where I want to work and this job
Yeah.
lines up with everything within me that I believe in. And so I will get that job no matter what. And so I would email them and contact them. And when I did get in touch with them, I would just be myself. Like I would allow my personality to be who I am and to try and connect with them on some on their level to some degree, you know.
Mm,
I mean, my resume wasn't a video resume or anything fancy or the colors of the company like how it all is today,
yeah.
but um yeah, I just was determined, and so I just was very positive thinking about the position, but then I went after it at the same time. So
It sounds like you were very persistent. And I think that
yes.
that's what a lot of people lack is that, yeah, they would fire off the resume, but then they would forget that it might take that second, that third, that
Mhm.
fourth follow up before anybody even cares to respond to you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like hustling has been in your nature for a long time.
Totally.
Now, when did you get the idea to launch the Modern Hustle?
Mm. So, um, I'll take you back before I left Vega. So I was at Vega in a position that they were getting rid of that position altogether.
Mm,
And I was 12 weeks pregnant and with my first son. And I had this, again, this gut feeling in me that I needed to tell my boss the moment I was 12 weeks that I was pregnant. And so I did that and it was great. And then I think it was like 4 weeks later, I got in a calendar invite with my boss and HR to have a call. And I was like, what is going on? What did I do? Even though
yeah.
I didn't do anything. Um, and yeah, they said that unfortunately they're getting rid of this position. But I was so incredibly grateful, and I'll never not be grateful for this, that they kept me on and for until I chose to go on mat leave, and then they kept me for my entire mat leave. Just when my mat leave wasn't done, or when my mat leave was over, then I wouldn't have a job to go back to.
Wow.
So that is something that they didn't have to do.
Oh, that's incredible.
Mhm.
Wow.
It was amazing. So like they took care of me the entire time instead of saying, sorry, peace out, you have no job, we're just getting rid of this position now. You're
Yeah.
pregnant? Good luck. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. And so I felt very, very fortunate to be in that position. And so when I was on mat leave, that's when I was just like, what am I going to do now?
Mhm.
Like I felt really confused and lost in life. Um, and so that's when I decided, like, okay, you know what? Like, what is something that you like to do? I went back to my days when I had a life coach, and they're like, well, what do you like to do? So I went back into that mentality, and I was like, well, I really like Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, this sounds so silly. But then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll try the mommy influencer thing because now I have a kid coming, right? And so that's what I did. I tried it and I was like, I'm going to come up with a blog. And that's how the Modern Hustle came about. Was I started a blog and to be a mommy influencer. And I coming up with a name is really, really hard. As you
Yep.
know, coming up with names is
Mhm.
hard. But for me, the Modern Hustle was like, I'm somebody who loves to work hard, who goes after what she wants. I'm very determined. So that's where the hustle word comes from. And then the modern part is just like, I'm very like, I'm 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 modern. Like I'm up to
Yeah.
date with like what's going on with
Mhm.
where we're at in life today. I'm not old fashioned. Like,
Yeah.
so that's how I came up with the name. Nothing like
I
extravagant.
love it. And it's simple too. It's easy to remember, easy to
Yeah.
pronounce, easy to
Yeah.
spell, which I think
Yeah.
are all really good qualities of a brand name or a business name.
Hmm.
Now, were you sitting back on mat leave, like writing a business plan and kind of hashing out what this mega empire might become? Or did you just start getting into action and just start posting and kind of following your nudges? Like, which end of the spectrum were you?
No business plan.
Yeah, just go for it, right?
I just went for it. Yeah. So I started out as doing like influencer stuff. I started getting like brand collaborations. A lot of them started out as trades, and then I started getting paid brand collaborations. And then I just was like feeling like there was more. And
Hmm.
so I was like, okay, I'm going to go and take a digital marketing course, and I'm going to go learn what it's like to do that. And then I'm going to start managing other people's accounts for Instagram.
Yep.
So that's what I did. I did a course. I started taking on clients. I had 4 clients, and then I was capped
Yeah.
because it's a lot of work to manage somebody's account.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was just like, oh, I just like, this client really bothers me. This client doesn't get back to me. I'm hounding them all the time. I'm just like, and just like the negativity started coming up. And then I'm pretty sure I manifested all of this stuff for my highest paying client. She just like, it's like, you know what, we're going to stop our contract now. And like, there was other stuff to it. But anyway, so I lost my highest paying client. And then 2 months later, I lost my next paying client. And now I was at my very, very first client that I originally had in the first place that was paying me nothing. It was very, very minimal. And I was like, okay, there's something more that I need to be doing. Again, I wasn't in alignment with the social media management side of stuff. So then I hired a business coach, and that business coach I was with for 90 days and left me after 90 days feeling more confused from where I started. It was
Oh
awful.
no.
It was so bad. Yeah, that was like a very bad coaching experience for me because there was no closure with us. There was no follow up. There was like, it was not good. And so I had to just dive internally and just be like, what is it that I'm wanting to do? Like, I know it's with Instagram, I know it's online, but what is it? And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach people about how to do Instagram. And so I took a course on how to create programs online.
Mhm.
And that's when I hopped into the coaching world. And that's where I'm at today. And it's just like so in alignment. And I feel so like this is where I should be.
Mhm.
And it's amazing.
I love that you share that. I think it's so important to hear the journeys of people like yourself because so many people assume that they're just going to stumble upon their passion and their purpose and the income generating ideas right away. But it
Mhm.
doesn't happen like that. Like, similar to
No.
you, I started in the freelance world doing other people's social media. And I had to do that for 3 years before I was like, how am I going to get out of this and still use these skills, but in a different way? So it's a
Yeah.
constant evolution. Like, what the modern hustle was years ago is not what it is today. And that's most people's journey. So it's just really nice to hear the
Yeah.
real version straight
Yeah.
from your mouth. So if somebody asks you today, what is the modern hustle? What would you tell them?
Mm. So, what is a modern hustle? So, yeah, I help female coaches and creatives step into their 6-figure mindset and create business strategies so they can attract their dream clients.
So good and so concise. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes as business owners, we have trouble explaining what we do, but that was like your elevator pitch nailed down. And so through your services, is it just coaching that you offer in the one-on-one manner, or what are your offerings to your clientele right now?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching with people, and it's either longer term or I have a shorter term package as well. I also have my Instagram course, so that's for entrepreneurs who are newer to the platform, who don't really know how to use it. Saying that I am revamping the program a little bit. So when I'm relaunching it in May, it's going to have a little bit of a twist to it.
Cool.
And then I also have my latest program that I've just recently launched is the Purpose Driven Brand, which is my branding course. And yeah, that's my self-paced course. And I have a few more things coming down the pipeline this year.
I love it. So many
Hmm.
ways we can work with you.
Hmm.
So, obviously, right now, people are at home a lot more. Some people have been laid off work. And I'm noticing, even on my own platforms and in talking to people, that generally as a collective, we're spending more time online, right?
Yeah.
Just because, nobody's over our shoulder watching us like a manager at work. It just seems as though people are spending a little bit more time on their phone. So, in the event that somebody listening is thinking about taking their Instagram strategy to the next level, I
Mhm.
really want to use this time with you to kind of pick your brain on some strategies and some different tactics that you've got in your head so that anyone who is curious about using Instagram to their benefit right now can
Mhm.
take a lot away from this conversation. Does that sound good?
Totally.
So, first question, and I know the answer to this, but can we really attract paying clients using a platform like Instagram?
100% you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you for clearing that up. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have a business. And I know most people's first objection to that would be, okay, so you're saying I can build a business and actually bring clients into my business through Instagram, but
Mhm.
I don't have a following. Maybe I have a personal Instagram account with a couple hundred people, but who the heck is going to buy my offer? So, what do you say to that person who's sitting in that belief right now that because they don't have a following, there's no point in using Instagram for selling?
Mm. I would direct people to go back to um, what their brand is.
Hmm.
So you need to really have a clear understanding of like who your ideal client is, first of all. Because if
Yep.
you don't know who your ideal client is, then how are you going to find them on Instagram?
Hmm.
So you really need to be super clear on, yeah, who they are, what their struggles with, how they're feeling, what they're wanting to achieve, all of those things. And then you're going to be able to walk through what your brand is as well. Like, who do you help?
Hmm.
What type of services can you offer them? That sort of stuff. And then once you have that clear picture, then you can go and implement strategies on how to find your following and then implement what you're wanting to offer these people. And then you come up with strategies on how to bring those offers to people.
Hmm. It reminds me of the quote that if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. So you're kind of saying, make sure you know who that small subset of people are so that before you dive into Instagram and just try to post and switch over from a personal account to a business account, know who you're talking to so that
Mhm.
you can talk to them well, I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, totally.
So, for the sake of continuing to learn all of the knowledge in your head, why don't we pretend that I'm, say, a newly certified nutritionist? Because I know a lot of wellness lovers listen to this podcast, and say I'm just launching my business for the first time and I help people go gluten free with an online course. Okay. So, what are some of the first steps that I should take in order to build my presence? So, I figured out I want to help gluten free people. What's next? Like, I don't even have the Instagram account ready to go yet. No strategy. What would you say?
So you know who it is that you're wanting to help. And so then you need to come up with, I'm going to say come up with some sort of free offer so
Mm,
you can wheel people in. Um, one thing that a lot of people they like to hold back on is the knowledge that they have. But the
mhm,
reality is you are here to serve. If you're not serving your audience and helping them, giving them tangible things that they can take away to then try and implement to their business and start seeing results, there's no way that they're going to hire you.
mhm,
So you really need to start building that know, like, trust factor. So by doing that, you are showing up on your Instagram on a daily basis. You're showing up on your Instagram stories specifically. I like to call them mini trainings. So you're giving mini trainings like 3 days a week. Um, and you are providing value to them. So you're educating them. You're allowing them to then take that information, take it into their lives, and then they're all going to be like, oh wow, that worked. And then they'll be
mm,
like, what else does she have for me? And then
Yeah.
they're going to come back to you for more because they're now starting to know you, they're starting to like you, and they're starting to trust you because they know what you're giving them is working. So they trust you. So then when it comes time for you to sell an offer to them,
Mhm.
you're probably going to sell to them because they trust you already from all the things that you've given them. In order to find these people, though, I always like I have this in my Instagram course, but there's a tracking like a tracking spreadsheet that I have for people.
Cool.
So you're tracking your community that you're wanting to nurture, your growth. You have a leads tracker. So you need to have all these people written down. So that would be people that are consistently engaging with you. They're clearly interested in what you're doing. So write them down on a community tracker, a growth tracker, that sort of thing. So then you know that when you go to that list on a daily basis, you're engaging with them like at least 3 times a week,
Mhm.
because you're trying to warm them up. So by the time you have an offer, they're already warm. You've put them into the hot category,
Mhm.
and then you can sell them. So showing up on stories on a daily basis is huge. And then, yeah, providing educational, valuable content to them.
Love it. So a couple things I want to clear up on that. So with this tracker, are you literally using a spreadsheet to say this is the person's name, this is their Instagram handle, and like have I engaged with them this week? Is it really down to each time you comment on a post and trying to build that relationship, you're tracking it?
You don't have to write down like specifics like what you said or what day you did it, but let's just like I have a list of 100 people. And so I'll pull I'll pull 10 people, and those are the 10 people that I engage with on say Monday. And then and it's all with highlighted beautiful colors and stuff.
Love it.
But yeah, just an Excel document is totally fine. And then Tuesday, this is the next group of 10 people that I'm engaging with. And so this was going to take you about, I'd say 40 minutes, because you're going through and you're like liking their photos, you're commenting. And if you don't want to do that, or maybe there's nothing for you to comment and like on because they haven't posted, there should be stuff in stories. So always, always, always go watch people's stories and reply to their stories, because now you're getting into their DMs. And when you're in the DMs, that's when the relationship starts to build.
Mm, so good. I mean, it's just really taking your Instagram a little bit more seriously and
Mhm.
treating it like building a friendship, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to constantly be in touch with someone or constantly see them at the gym before you go out on your first coffee date. And then from the coffee date, you might invite them to a party. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't just happen like magic that people
Mhm.
become Instagram celebrities. Like they nurture people to become their
Yeah.
friends and their community members.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned the word mini trainings.
Mhm.
So could these be anything related to your business? Are you just trying to show up for your audience and just deliver some sort of educational value?
Yeah, so it all depends again what phase you're in. So if you are in the midst of selling a program,
Mhm.
as an example, then you want to lead up to your launch day with content that is driven towards that program. So you're educating that follower, or sorry, educating that audience on that is going to be ideal for that program.
Right.
So because every program that you have, it is probably going to speak to a different audience in some way. Like it's all your ideal client, but Susie over here might be perfect for your one-on-one because that's the level she's at right now, but Jennifer isn't. She's kind of newer still, so she's going to be a better fit for this offer that you're actually promoting right now.
Mhm.
So whatever it is that you are leading up to launching, you should be doing mini trainings that are educating people that have something to do with whatever that launch is about. If you're
Mhm.
not in the midst of a launch right now, and let's just say you have wanting to encourage people to go to your Facebook group and join your Facebook group, then just be educating people about things that people are constantly asking you. Maybe you're getting on discovery calls with people and you're constantly hearing the same question come up, or people are getting into your DMs and asking you a question. Take all those questions, write them on an Excel sheet. So now you have a list of content ideas that you can go back to, and then at the end of your what we can call mini training, you always have your call to action, which in this case would be directing people to go to your Facebook group or whatever it is you're in the midst of doing.
Hmm, awesome. Do you recommend that there's a call to action on every single thing that we post on Instagram? Or do you find that leaving some posts just as general advice or info without that call to action at the end works well? What would you say is a good balance there?
Always have a call to action.
There we go. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So the reason is because you want you don't just don't want to like give them like all the amazing info and then just like leave them.
Right.
You want them to take some sort of action. Maybe it's like you're telling them to go and watch your Instagram stories because you've left some more helpful tips up there. Maybe it's to, like I said, join your Facebook group or go apply for that one-on-one coaching program, whatever it is. Like there should always be some sort of call to action. Maybe you gave them like 3 awesome tips of how to stay organized. Then ask them at the very bottom, like, what one of these tips are you going to try and implement into your day-to-day life?
Hmm.
So it again, it all depends on what stage you're at in your business, what period you're in your business, for what your call to action will be.
And so it doesn't always have to be a buy this call to
No,
action. Sometimes it's just, hey, which point do you like best or which one resonates with you? So more of a conversational call to action.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you're always selling to some degree, whether it's like
Hmm.
me physically doing it on stories, on video, or it's behind the scenes.
Hmm.
So that'd be email lists or DMs.
Yeah. So I know that you are a pro at helping people master their mindset when it comes to social media. And I find that so many people in the early stages of their business, they get so hung up on, I'm not good enough. I'll never have an Instagram following like so and so, or what value do I have to share? And they almost feel like this imposter syndrome or just general limiting beliefs around showing up in a bigger way on Instagram.
Mm.
So, do you have any advice for those people who are being held back right now, feeling that they're not in the right place yet to start showing up for their business or their brand?
That's a good one. So a lot of people feel like, well, that I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to be here. Like,
Yeah,
switch that mindset to be like, I do deserve to be here because every single thing that you have to give, that you have to offer people, maybe it's like similar content to somebody else within your industry. But the thing you have to remember is that nobody is you. You are the only you out there. So just because like I might teach you how to create a bio that is going to be stand out to your ideal client, but so is that other person. She's going to teach you that exact same thing. You may not jive with her. Your vibe might not be on that same level. It might be on that same level with me. So we're going to connect on a deeper level together. So therefore, she would want to work with me over that person.
hmm,
So never think that you're not enough because you really are. Everybody has so much to serve and so much value to give. And the way that I love to look at it is it's like a domino effect. So when I hire a coach to help me in my business, we're not competitors. It's she's helping me so then I can help another woman in the space, and then
right.
that woman can now help that woman. So it's like a domino effect. We're all helping each other to help the other person so we can make a bigger impact in this world. So I think you just have to look at the bigger picture and stop comparing and put your blinders on and just move forward with what your vision is. And if you find like I myself get trapped in that comparisonitis, is that what they call it?
Yep.
um I get caught in that all the time. But when I catch myself in it, I take a step back and I'm like, what is causing this to happen?
Hmm.
It's probably because I'm scrolling too much on Instagram.
Yep.
So then I'm very conscious when I open my Instagram app, am I mindlessly scrolling right now? Or am I doing something constructive to grow my business forward?
Hmm.
So,
I think that that has got to be like the biggest reason for people not ever starting. It's because they are comparing
mhm,
themselves, and it's probably because they are following every other person in their industry and seeing all the amazing things that they're up to, which is totally crowding out their own uniqueness and their own
mhm,
genius. So I would even say like unfollow everybody and just start creating content because you want to and because
Mhm.
you feel excited to talk about it. Because if you get trapped looking at what everyone else is
Mhm.
doing, then it's just deflating, right? And nobody
Yeah.
needs that feeling. And we have the power to hit that unfollow button, right?
Yeah.
So use it.
Yeah.
For somebody who is really gung ho to grow to their first 1,000 followers, because I know that's a milestone and sure,
Mhm.
it's just a number, but of course, there is some vanity metrics involved. What are some of the strategies that work right now in order to build from 0 to 1,000?
Mm. So use that leads tracker, that community nurture list for sure,
Yes.
and be spending bare minimum 30 minutes a day engaging with people. 30 minutes a day, I'd say like 60 is ideal. And engaging with people that are constantly engaging with you, people that are voting on your polls and your stories, people that are constantly viewing your stories, and then going out there and finding new people too.
Hmm.
You can't just wait for everybody to come and find you. You have to go out there and find people as well. And that is what I would say would be things to focus on is spending time engaging on a daily basis. I'm
Hmm.
not talking 7 days a week. You don't have to do that, but like Monday to Friday, let's say,
Yep.
and then take your weekends off. And then, yeah, just have an action plan, have a game plan of like, what is it that you're trying to achieve right now? And then create some sort of strategy to get you to that point.
Hmm. In terms of content, do you recommend people post every day, the same time every day, the same days of the week? What would be your advice for somebody who doesn't know what or when to post content?
Hmm. Yeah, so posting 3 days a week is totally fine on your feed because more people are into the stories, into the video, I should say.
Yep.
So doing you're on Instagram stories on a daily basis. It's an Instagram story should be 50-50, like 50% personal, 50% business,
Mhm.
because that is again how you're going to build that know, like, and trust. People get to know you on that personal level because everybody wants to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Um,
Whether
so
they want to admit it or not,
yeah,
right? They want to
totally.
see the behind the scenes of what your life is actually like.
Totally. So show us what it's like. And then, yeah, posting your feed 3 days a week is totally fine. And then I'd say IGTV once a week. If you can't
Mhm.
do once a week, then twice a month for sure. Um, yeah, those are big things for sure.
Yeah, I've definitely seen such a shift in how much people are using and
Mhm.
loving stories right now versus the feed. And I actually really enjoy that we've kind of gone away from that perfection culture of just posting,
Yeah.
perfect, beautiful photos of yourself or your business, and instead just kind of throwing the camera on and still having a storyline in your
Mhm.
IG stories, but showing up more as the real you
Mhm.
versus like the photoshopped you. I
Totally.
just think that, yeah, hopefully this shift stays and we don't go back to the other way, but
Yeah.
it's nice to see
I think it will.
people's behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Now, you've mentioned so many times throughout this podcast that you've invested in coaches, and clearly you have taken your own personal growth and your business growth quite seriously. And I know that many of the listeners of this podcast, they have never worked with a coach or they've never taken an online course right now.
Mhm.
And with this gift that we've been given of now needing to stay home a lot more and maybe having time to think about what we actually want out of our life, maybe you could offer some advice, like why to you is hiring a coach or investing in courses, why is that important at all?
Mm. You can't teach what you don't know. Yeah, like
So true.
if you have a vision and you want, let's just say you want to start hitting 10K months, then how are you going to get there? If you don't know, then you're going to have to find out from somebody. You can
Mhm.
spend hours and hours and hours researching, wasting time Googling or YouTube. Not to say it's a waste of time because you're still learning, but it's going to take you a hell of a lot longer to get to the point that you want to get to.
Mhm.
A lot of times people right now, they're standing in a lot of fear right now. Fear of no money, as an example. That's probably the biggest thing right now for
Mhm.
people. So working on your daily mindset of money is going to be beneficial for you. Like for the past month, I've been writing out daily money mantras just to like get my brain to be and the positive money mindset that I want to be in. And then investing in yourself is like, it's just, think of it like you're going to college or university. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're educating yourself to be better at what you do. Doesn't mean you have to invest thousands of dollars, but maybe there's a course out there like my branding course that is $67, like
Mm-hmm.
everybody has some way that they can invest and if they really really want to grow and expand in their business. Also, if you really want to work with somebody, don't be afraid to ask them, do you have payment plans? Is there an
Yeah.
extended payment plan? That sort of thing. Most coaches out there will give you an extended payment plan of some sort because they don't want to see you walk away and suffer. They want to help you because again, if their brand and their business is on point where like that domino effect that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to want to work with you
So true.
financially to some degree. So
Mm. It's
just
such
put yourself out there and ask because you never know, right? My biggest thing that I've learned actually by working at Vega was if you don't ask, if you ask and they say no, what's the worst thing that they're going to say? They're going to say no.
yeah.
Big deal. You
Yep.
move on. So
Mm-hmm. I
yeah.
love that. Such good advice. And I wrote down, you said, you can't teach what you don't know. It sounds
Mhm.
so obvious, but it's like there are so many people who are sitting in this paralyzed state, basically thinking, like, well, I would love to launch an online course, for example, but I have no idea where to begin. It's like, well, you have to go find someone who's done it and then pay them and ask them how they did it, right? Otherwise, you're
Yeah,
going to spend the next decade trying to Google the answers, like you said, or read all the books. And yeah, you'll probably do it. But by that point, you'll have wished you just paid someone
yeah,
to accelerate the download of knowledge that you got from them, right?
totally.
What would you say is the best part about owning your own business right now? Like, what is it that's really lighting you up with the modern hustle?
Mm. I love that for I'm just like in this, like this all happened and nothing within me ever felt like my business was going to squash, never felt like I shouldn't be selling. Like I felt more empowered if anything, that I need to be there more than ever now to help people bring their light to the surface. And so I kind of feel like this beam of light in a way right now where I can, people know that I'm there to serve. And like I had this idea, this was a couple of weeks ago, to just offer this free, this free 60-minute coaching call
Mm-hmm.
over Zoom. And I had a bunch of women sign up and it was amazing. And I never would have had that opportunity if I hadn't, well, first of all, if this pandemic didn't happen, but
Yeah.
also if I didn't choose to not let my light shine. If I chose to stand in fear, it wouldn't have happened. And so, yeah, I just feel some sort of like lightness and empowerment in this phase right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's such a testament to the work you've done leading up to this,
Mhm.
right? Because the people who are shining their lights right now, it's because of all the work you've put in over the last 10, 20 years to be able to show up and support people in this
Mm.
time. And it's cool that you launched that Zoom call for women. And I've been thinking a lot about like what this pandemic has kind of shown us all. And it's that this is a great time to experiment with new things, right? Because we're
Mhm.
all shifting right now. So try something new. If it fails, there's no judgment because we're all going through the evolution together. So
Yeah,
you may as well give it a shot in this moment.
so true.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you one question that I didn't send you in advance, but is
Yeah.
there any like behind the scenes secret Instagram strategy or just like underutilized tip besides tracking your leads and contacts? Like, is there any other tactic that you're like, this works so well on Instagram right now? Everybody should be doing it.
Mm. I would, I'm gonna say like having a strategy in place. So I talk to clients. I'm like, okay, when are you? what are you wanting to launch? And they tell me, when do you want to launch it? I'm going to do this in May. And in their heads, it's like, I have so much time. It's in May. It's not till mid-May. There's like a month and a half, till that
Yeah.
happens.
Mhm.
And then the thing is, though, you have to work backwards. So you launch, say, May 15th. Now, what do you have to do the week before you launch? And now what do you have to do the week before and the week before the week before? Because you have to like warm up your audience. You have to bring content to these people that is going to lead them to that final destination. So I
Mm.
find that I'm thinking that having a strategy for that end goal is underutilized. People don't think about that because you just see the end product of us on Instagram and
Mm.
us being like, our launch day is here. And they're like, oh, that's so cool. You just think in your head that I just decided that today was launch day, I'm going to launch. But
Yep.
no, there's a lot of lead up and warming up to get to that point.
Mhm.
And you cannot sell to a cold audience. You have to sell to a warm and hot audience. So in order to get them to that warm and hot position, you got to do things before launch day. So
Mhm.
I'm going to say strategize.
Yeah, it's funny because it's kind of like an unsexy answer. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
you have to plant seeds every day, like the rest of us. Yeah, you could go and like pay someone across the world to give you 1,000 followers, but like that's not going to convert into clients. So you're better off to just sit down with your content calendar and hash it out. Like, give us
Yeah,
content that makes sense leading up to the offer you're going to sell. So
yeah,
I love that because it's super real and it just shows that like that is what it takes. And there's not usually a magic carpet that's going to zoom you
nope.
to the end of being like the Instagram influencer, the top in the world. So
Yeah,
thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Shannon, this has been so amazing. I know you have lots of things going on right now with your free trainings and you've got great content almost every day coming on your Instagram and you've got amazing blogs on your website. So, where should we find you and plug anything that you've got coming up that we should know about?
Yeah, the best place to find me would be on Instagram, at Shannon Heth. And yeah, send me a DM. I'd love to connect with you. I love the DMs, obviously.
Mhm.
And then yeah, I have for coming into April, I have my 90-minute one-on-one intensives happening. So that's where we will sit down and strategize to figure out what is that you're wanting to achieve right now. And there's a lot that we can hash out in 90 minutes. We could plan out a whole entire launch strategy in the 90-minute call. And anything else you want to go over in that call, but that's what I'm focusing on next would be my 90-minute one-on-one intensives.
Mhm.
And then yeah, we go from there.
That's amazing. And I will link all of those in our show notes so that people can come find you. So thank you
Awesome.
very much for being on the podcast and for experimenting. There will be a video version of this airing on YouTube. So for anyone listening to audio, you can go find the video version. And I can't wait to see how the modern hustle continues to progress. So thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here.
Thank you.